Hello everybody, I'm the Craft Maiden, and in this video I'm going to show you how I made my soundproofing in my studio. Yeah, I have some echo going around here whenever I'm doing my voiceover, so I thought I should share this process with you. I got my inspiration from DIY Perks and his video how to make high performance sound absorption panels for $5. I made 8 in total, 4 to have on the wall and 4 to have in the ceiling. And I'm estimating each one cost about $35, and the price is higher as I'm using new towels and adding prints to 4 of them. And as you can see by this very long intro, I'm actually filming gathering some of my supplies for the first time. This was actually a request from some of you viewers, and I thought I'd test it out. What do you think about it? And if you have any more suggestions about future videos, you can always leave a comment down below. If you want to make this yourself, you can find a link to DIY Perks video in the description box down below. And while you're down there, you will also find all the measurements and tools and materials I use in my video as well. So without further ado, let's get this DIY started. Let's begin with the 2 shorter pieces. I removed half the thickness and the width on both ends to make the frame a lot sturdier. And to avoid any cracks in the wood, I pre-drilled the holes for the screws, and I also countersunk it with a bigger drill bit by hand. Before assembling it all, I wanted to use a hand milling machine to make 2 slots in the top piece, so to have something to hook it on the wall later on. And as the workbench is moving way too much to do this alone, I got some help and could therefore also vacuum away all the sawdust before it could spread any further in the room. And then I assembled the whole thing. And as I need a lot of towels, I went to IKEA and bought some. And here you can see the frame in total. If you want all the measurements, you can find them in the description box down below. To attach the towels, I used a staple gun. This was a really hard part to explain, as my watch that I'm using as a viewfinder for my phone that I'm filming on started to zoom in without me noticing. So of course it's kind of hard to see what I'm doing here, but I start in the middle on each side, stretching the fabric towards me and adding a staple. Then I work myself outwards to the edges, continuing stretching and alternating sides to avoid any sagginess of the towel in the middle. I'm no expert in this soundproofing thing, but I did add 2 towels on the inside just to hopefully get it a lot quieter in this room. As I didn't really want to look at towels on the walls, I covered it in black fabric so I can make some cool prints on them. If this defeats the purpose of using only towels, I don't really know, but there is a less of an echo in here right now, so I do think they still work. And here you can see it, I do the same thing. I start in the middle, stretching the fabric and stapling it down on each side and working myself outwards to the edges, and by doing this I avoid any sagginess on the other side. As I used stretchy fabric for this, it was easy to make a nice looking corner. I folded one part of the fabric over and attached it with staples. And to hide them, I refolded the fabric I already had at hand over them like so, and attached the rest with more staples. And now for the fun part, the decorating. You might recognize this method as the grid method in art books and stuff like that. That means that you can enlarge or shrink a motif by drawing each square one by one. To create the grid on the panels, I used yarn that I attached with pins, and for the motif I used a drawing app and placed the grid over it, but you can of course use pen and paper for that. Make sure the fabric paint you are using is made for darker fabric if the fabric is dark like mine, because otherwise it might not show up at all. And when printing or painting, there is a lot of different ways to go about. Like here I used masking tape to get straighter lines, or like this I used a circle cut out of paper so to get it more symmetrical. While painting these, a very sad thing happened to the world. Stan Lee passed away. So I really wanted to make a tribute to him by making Spider-Man's logo. For this one, I wanted to be able to paint around the spider without getting any paint where the spider is supposed to be, as the background is already black. So I used a plastic film that you can cover books and maps in. That means the plastic has a tacky side, so it will stick like a tape onto the panel. And as the print is symmetrical, I cut out the first half, folded it over, traced it, and then cut it once again, as it is a lot quicker than drawing the whole spider in one go. Then I stuck it onto the panel, this time having a lot less of a grit on it, as it was only there to be guidelines to get the spider straight. I accidentally tore the plastic a bit, but I covered it in tape so to avoid any bleeding from the paint. I then cut fine strips of masking tape to create the spider's web. This way is of course optional, you can also just paint it on with a brush or use a textile pen. After removing the grit, I used a sponge and a red fabric paint and started painting. After a few layers and some time for the paint to dry, I could finally remove the tape. And if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen this part already, but if you have missed it, you can find future sneak peeks over there. The link is in the description box down below, together with all my social media. And as with all fabric or textile paints, you might have to iron it if there is a chance you have to clean it with water in the future. So I'm just following the instructions on my paint bottle and ironing it on for 5 minutes. To hang the panels on the wall, I use these hooks. I bought them at the hardware store. I don't know what they are called, but they work pretty well and fit perfectly in the slots we made earlier. I think it looks quite nice on the wall, and it definitely muffled the echo in here quite a bit. But as we were setting everything up, we kind of found a snag when trying to place the Stormtrooper up on the wall. As the staircase is kind of steep, we haven't found a way to actually put it up there yet, but if you have any suggestions, please tell us so in the comments down below, because we really want it there, as the echo is awful from the staircase. And if you have seen any of my other videos, you might recognize this scene, as I usually have my Mac in the background, but I have moved it across the room because I'm going to use the space for this project. As I'm going to deassemble some of the parts, I kind of need more workspace and not only a corner of my table, so a whole table will be quite awesome to work at. As I told you in the beginning of this video, I also made panels for the ceiling. They are made in the exactly same way as the ones on the walls, but in each corner there is also a screw eye with a wire hanging in hooks from the ceiling. And on another note, before ending this video, I'm going to attend Make It Central once again in Birmingham next May. So why don't you come over and say hi? And with that, I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and that I'll see you again next time. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more awesome stuff.